I like to have poems set to music and then read against that kind of soundtrack that's going on at the same time. And I'll just talk about that briefly, that one of the reasons I do that is because when I was in graduate school at Eastern Michigan University in 1990, I had the opportunity to see Amiri Baraka, who came to read at our college. And it was the most amazing poetry event I'd ever seen before, because everybody had just been in the movie Bulworth at that point in time. I don't know if you've ever seen this one where Warren Beatty's this kind of rapping president. But so he was in the kind of public consciousness, and everybody and their brother from Detroit came to see Amiri Baraka. And so this was a reading that had between 700 to 800 people in it. And I've never been to a reading that's been anything like that. And of course, he was in rare form. Miles Davis had just died. And so he was doing his thing where he would be riffing off of various different great jazz standards and then going back into reading his work. I had never seen anything like that before, because usually I was used to just kind of stand and deliver kind of poetry. And it made an impression on me, to say the least, and so it's something that I've come back to. Now, the stuff that I do is kind of done, with live music, and it's more what I would call program music, meaning it's not going to sound like a song per se, and it's not going to have a strict, chorus verse type of structure or anything like that. But think of the music you might see behind a production in the theater or something like that. So there are various different kinds of instrumentation, various different kinds of approaches. Some are live instruments, some are sound libraries, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I want to say about that. Most of the poems I'm going to read today are teaching poems. So poems that start off or in some way reflect on the teaching experience, because this is, I think, my 29th or 30th year here. And, I think while there are many great poems about teaching, it's nice to see how the profession itself can be lauded or brought into consideration as a poetic subject. So that's where this first one starts. And for those of you who are English instructors, you know that experience of when you read the paper that puts you over the edge, and it's just one too many, and you have to take a break. So that's where this poem starts out. And the music is one of my favorite ukuleles, a 1950 Sears model. You laugh, but they made some damn good ukuleles back that time. The Churn. One too many admiring papers about Elon Musk send me over the brink. Each one mentions he's slated to be the world's first trillionaire. I should be impressed by that and his desire to colonize the moon. But we've played that out in history once or twice before. Something has to suffer, this time on a planetary scale. The next paper I grade is on PewDiePie, YouTube's most followed influencer. Over 120 million people think he has something important to say on a regular basis. Certainly, that many people can't all be wrong. But what if they are? The will to be entertained is very strong in this demographic. I can't force myself to watch for more than 3 minutes without rolling my eyes. Another migraine is coming on. I sense a future when I'll be forced to submit to popular fools. Lennon and McCartney will turn out to be gamers who've amassed fortunes by using the platforms for their benefit. I'm forced to turn away, like the burned out old fart I'm bent on becoming. I'm told the generations churn, and the great machine keeps humming. Relax, relax, they assure me. But I am wondering if they suffer from too much faith. I sigh and rub my temples. My son can hear me whining and complaining, and he consoles me. Gee, Dad, if I could bury you right now, I would.
Oh, God, that's hilarious.
Okay. About in the noughts, I was teaching over at Davis in the outreach program there, and at that point in time, the rave phenomenon was just happening. And I had this one student always come in for office hours, and all she wanted to do was talk about the raves and on the ecstasies she had done, the weekend before in San Francisco. And so she plays a prominent role in this particular poem. And then it kind of speculates on, perhaps an interesting solution to the problem of low enrollment. A little bit of Molly in the pocket. One more time through the morning head haze, and I regard a student from 25 years ago on the other side. She was going to the raves every weekend and exuding unrepentant joy during office hours when we'd meet to talk about her papers. It was like befriending a chipmunk, fun to observe her elated face and radiant antics, but better off left in the wild. She was well on her way to find God before I'd be ready to transcend. The cold, hard facts on the ground were good enough for me until, the internet came around in full force and turned everyone's trust into mush. The dark days of warring tribes have arrived. The short reels on repeat have urged them to antithesis. They are guarded like the famous antisocial octopus hidden among the rocks. I put some Molly in the water and they extend their tentacles to each other. They are eager to interact and forestall attack. Makes me wonder what would happen if the next incoming class were required to carry a little bit of Molly in the pocket. Would their phones corrode from lack of input? Would they resort to slathering each other with butter and writhing like a ball of snakes after midnight? What administrator will be bold enough to initiate this plan? How low must enrollment go? Just one tiny pharmaceutical assist, and students may be able to carry their glow sticks through the dark days and the dark nights. Okay. For some of you who were here a few years ago, when there was this shooting that took place out in the parking lot here, and I guess I heard it was a drug deal that went wrong from the neighborhood and spilled over into campus. That's this piece kind of reflects on that, as well as our, rather depressing gun culture in many respects. and these things all kind of come to a head in this particular piece. The music on this one is kind of the one I'm going to have in this group that's all orchestral. So it has a kind of viola arpeggio at the beginning, and then it moves into some dissonant pieces, sections, and then kind of returns to where it started from. Macho Blowback. The school's robocaller revs up and tells us everybody's on lockdown. My son crouches beneath his desk for hours, waiting for the A-OK from the cops. Just another day of idle gun threats in America. Some kid with a vivid imagination was dreaming a key role in the big shoot-up, but settled for bringing his piece to lunch instead. The dipshit set off a chain of alarms until there was a full-fledged panic. The whole school was held hostage to the kid's stupidity. My son is witness to it, and that I regret. I pity his having to negotiate the madness as I have had to. My students at the college let out from the building and greeted by gunshots, a drug deal gone wrong. The dealer who was hit and staggered dropped 10 feet in front of me. Another guy beat me to stop the bleeding with his shirt. And 2 weeks ago, another kid shot himself in Ohio at the middle school where I took wood shop and made a birdhouse for the chickadees and robins. The madness spreads like a bruise working its way deep. I am working up my apology as I go to pick up my son. Something about how it has affected all of us now, disrupted the fragile narrative of staying safe. He gets in the front seat, a little too unfazed, and up ahead I see a car with a decal in the back window. It's a picture of an AK-47 and the words, "Brothers in Arms," beneath it. It's an ad for a line of apparel for ex-military and police. Clearly, we have entered the militarized zone. Suddenly, we are riding shotgun with the terror that traveled back from Afghanistan and Iraq. It is sweeping over us like a magical wave that we do not understand. It's the hot air of the Macho Blowback. But I go berserk, and I roll down the window and shout, "Would you take that fucking gun decal off the window of your car?" But the young girl behind the wheel just laughs uproariously and speeds away. I think I'll end with one that is a parent poem, because people have been reading poems about parents. And this is about, interestingly enough, my mother, who died the year I started teaching in 1996. The only problem is she had my father to be the executor of her estate, and my dad wasn't particularly diligent about dealing with matters of her final resting place. So she sat on a shelf in his house for a number of years, and then when he became indigent and couldn't take care of her, that passed on to my oldest brother, and he had it in his laundry room for another decade. And then finally, when both of them died, my brother and I decided that time had come to bury her and put her in the ground. So that happened last year. So 30 years later, we make this trip to Moline, Illinois, where my father's family exists, and they have a plot that was waiting for the both of them. At that time, my father had died too. So this is a piece that kind of talks about their relationship to a certain extent. And, in terms of music, it's kind of interesting because it starts off with a ukulele with a kind of strange effect on it. And then it goes into a little bit of a country twang. And then we have a kind of string quartet piece, a section. And then there's kind of tribal rhythms that come up for a bit. And then it ends back with a kind of classical music phase as well. Veneration. My mother never complained about anything, except when she got drunk. Then she would spit holy hell, and the spite would flow magnificently. I remember it spewing at my father, mostly due to his neglect. Like most married men, he suffered from an inability to fully cherish her contributions. He made demands, and then bought her Barbara Mandrell's Treat Him Right record for her birthday. Oh, it was an honors course in degradation. And for years, I've studied the syllabus. When my mother's ashes started talking to me from the storage locker, I couldn't help but listen. She was a little ticked about having to wait 30 years for her cremains to be placed in the ground. My brother heard her talking too, and we mounted the ready Ford and finally brought both of them to East Moline, to rest not far from my father's parents. We tipped the trio of grave diggers to trim the old headstone so the world could once more gaze upon the last name. There's a tribe in Papua New Guinea that thinks their ancestors can see into their hearts and evaluate their behavior. Food is left at the temples for their spirits, and even when they forget to perform their rituals the right way, the ancestors will forgive them if they drop a few coins in the receptacles. They keep their families large this way. A man is measured by the number of names he can recall, as long as they cooperate inside his head. Now, the two of them lie side by side forever. My mother's voice is calmer since we no longer can fall back on lame excuses. She can get back to listening to her operas somewhere beyond my reckoning. The hours I listened to Carmen, La Boheme as a kid were her doing. The long-suffering Mimi wastes away at the end. She dies, and Rodolfo doesn't even recognize her. Light has gone out. That scene was her favorite. It deserves another listen, since the mission has been accomplished. But first, I'm going to listen to that damn Barbara Mandrell record. I never had the nerve until now. Thank you.